Quick thought I had about the original sin and how there's something wrong with our hearts. But yet you wouldn't say God made us with something wrong in our hearts. I mean, certainly our hearts were not adequate without Him, so He placed His Spirit within us when He breathed the breath of life into Adam. And what Adam did wasn't, in a technical sense, it wasn't a great sin. The problem was, it was the only thing he could do from his fleshly standpoint. So he did that, and now what I see is that we still do the same thing Adam did. We still try to find things out. And part of what the new covenant is that God doesn't want to leave us now when we do that. When we do what we would naturally do, just try to figure things out. He wants to go there with us. I know it's much more complicated than this, but I just want to get this thought down that part of what Adam did is necessary. It's what we still do. It's just a little drawn-out way. He had to illustrate something to us that when we need Him, yes, it's okay to look, to question, to seek to understand, to seek the knowledge, but it's who do we do it with? Just like He could have said, okay, I'll partake of that tree, serpent, tomorrow when my Father gets here. He already told me not to touch it, but I'll ask Him about it again. So it wasn't a matter of total rebellion. It was obviously something that was already in them even before they had sinned, and sin was in the world. So sin wasn't in Adam when he did that, but he had a natural desire to know things. So I can see where now God did not hate that thing about us, because it was the way we were before sin had entered. He just wants to go with us as we seek. That is a natural part of who we are, is beings that want to find things out. And He wants us to find them out with Him. That's the main thrust of it. And so if you say I'm implying that God learns things, well, the one who is God, how can you say He knows about what it's like to not be God? So if He's around someone who isn't God, then by definition He's going to learn something. He's going to learn what it's like to not be Him. Again, this goes to relationship. I mean, again, it's in this thought, but I've mentioned before that the relationship, nature of relationship is two-way. It is totally unique in our God in the sense of His goodness. He is always good. He is always the one that offers the perfection. It's just that you need to consider the fact that He is learning things, and His sovereignty doesn't necessarily mean He knows every single thing you've ever done or will ever do ever for the rest of your life. Not only because that destroys relationship, because that's kind of putting the cart before the horse. You say, well, He just knows everything. It would be nice if He could grow in relationship with you. I'm just saying from a purely functional or pragmatic or reality-based standpoint, how can He know everything about things that don't pertain to God? And you can say, well, we pertain to God because we were made by Him. The thing is, though, He made us as individuals with choices. So if He made us as individuals with choices, then there are choices we are going to make that He's not privy to until we make them. So we learn those things together, and that's the point. Is He wanted to be there. Not that He wanted them to disobey. Not that He wanted them to go ahead and eat of the tree. But He wanted them to learn whatever they would learn with Him. With Him. Not even necessarily through Him, but with Him. He wanted us to do it together with Him. That's the whole point of all of this. And just an example, one of the things when God has taught me, as someone who is an atheist all my life, somebody illustrated to me, and I know no one could receive this unless they know their God, the fact that I've always had faith. I've always had faith in my God. I didn't give Him credit for that faith, but the simple fact is everyone has faith if they continue to live and to breathe. You get up every day as though you have your next breath coming to you, and I'm not saying that we condemn anyone that doesn't appreciate God or has a lack of appreciation for Him, because we're all that way. I just realize now, though, that I always have had faith. Everyone has faith. They just don't identify faith as the one who fulfills that faith they have. They say, well, my parents gave me birth, or I have food available to me, or I work real hard and I have sustenance, when that's all nonsense, because everyone knows that without a creator there is no creation. So they just don't give credit where credit is due, so to speak. And that's another thing he would like to teach us, and he does it so lovingly, so patiently. He waits for us to come around, and that's another thing about our awesome God, is that he is always waiting. He's always patient, never judging. Hallelujah, Jesus.